I just don't understand. And I guess we need more debate here to clarify the matter. To both of you, there are no nation states, never have been any nation states, and they've never had any sovereignty. So it's not that they're losing sovereignty that they had. They never had any of the sovereignty that they supposedly had was illusionary. And it still is in a global world. And also there's never been really any hegemony, and there's never been, contrary to the history that we've been taught and what we read in the newspapers today, there's never been a centralized world. There's always been a multi-center world. And you raised the question about whether the future will be one or not. The likelihood is that it will, if only for the reason that it has always been. The Ottoman Empire, as you will recall, was very multinational, and it was possible, no matter what, quote, nation you were from, to rise to the top. Muhammad Ali, an Albanian, became the ruler of Egypt and instituted policies that were in contradiction to those of Istanbul. And the main reason why he lost is because Istanbul made an alliance with the Brits against him, and they got rid of him. And then put in Lord Cromer. I won't go into the further history of Egypt, but I will mention two other things, if I may. One, you will say Haiti. Well, it so happens that in 1915, the United States invaded Haiti under the leadership of General Butler. And General Butler later made statements to the effect that he now realizes that what he did all his life was serve the interests of high capital, in particular invading Haiti. Let's skip a few decades and go to Monsieur Aristide, le pauvre Monsieur Aristide, whom the United States put into the presidency, and then in a coup d'etat financed in Washington, and with troops trained in Santo Domingo, sent into Haiti, parentheses, the same as paramilitaries trained in Colombia, sent into Venezuela to combat Hugo Chavez. So far, not successful, and I hope never will be. In the case of Haiti, they were successful. They threw out the poor Aristide that they put in. And let's make a little bit of history, and then I finish. I keep telling my dear wife,
non, quand même, ça suffit.
The stupidest thing you can do in this world is to become a lackey of the United States. Because you can be 99.99% sure that you're going to be stabbed in the back. As have been Trujillo, Somoza, Batista. Jump a little bit. Noriega. We saw the photographs of him with the same Bush who then invaded Panama, killed 7,000 people in one night just to get Noriega, to make the beginnings of the so-called war on terror, narco-terror. Milosevic, the guarantor of the Dayton Agreement. Hussein, whom the CIA put in power, and whom the United States supported, and sent chemicals to make chemical weapons during the war in which the United States supported Iraq against Iran, and sent 60 advisors to teach the Iraqis on how to use these chemicals to make chemical weapons. That same poor guy, now you know where he is. He hadn't learned the lesson about becoming a lackey of the United States. Now I have one last thing. Since you're in Ottawa, I got it wrong, you're in Ottawa? I hope you recall Monsieur Jean Chrétien getting up in the House of Parliament in 1999 and saying, I cannot submit to my Parliament the question of whether Canada should or should not participate in the NATO invasion. He called it Kosovo, but it was Yugoslavia, because there would be some voices against that in my Parliament, and that would play into the hands of Mr. Milosevic. Therefore, I cannot put this question to the House. You recall Monsieur Chrétien saying that? Nice Chrétien. He's got an Inuit statue to defend himself along with his wife, so that others here may not know that, but you will recall about how Mr. Chrétien was saved from an intruder by his wife with an Inuit statue, and he is no longer the premier, now succeeded by Paul Martin, or Paul Martin, his political enemy, who is, if he's true to his colors as finance minister, will impose a more North American, meaning United States, FMI, International Monetary Funds, excuse me, economic policy in Canada than even Chrétien did. I can only hope that those lackeys of the United States don't have the same fate as the others. But I can't understand what you learned from history and what some of the other of us learned from the same history and why we learn such different things. But maybe that's why we have Historia Debate. Thank you.
Just one very little point, a very short point. One thing that I've learned about history throughout these many years is epitomized in a very short saying of none other than, this is really very, very surprising, of course, Mao Zedong, even though he never practiced what he preached. Truth from facts. I always look at historical facts first, and only a very distant second do I try, usually not very successfully, to understand things. The Austro-Hungarian Empire, which is also a multinational empire, collapsed at the end of the First World War. With the exception of the Yugoslavian entity, the rest of the entities have worked out quite all right for themselves, and of course now they're part of this emerging European Union. Well, the United States, what can I say? The only thing I'd like to do is for many of us not to even talk, not to even refer to the United States, certainly not in an ideologically dominated or philosophical dominated way. We really are obsessed. My university started this, by the way, a book which probably not very many have read, titled Umpire the Empire. And it was about 17, 18 years ago. Of course, Canada is dealing with the United States quite a bit, a little bit too much. I just would like to suggest that to the extent possible, we just forget about the United States unless absolutely and vitally important. That's my humble proposition.
I forgot to say that in the coup d'etat essay of mine, I try to demonstrate how there really was a coup d'etat in unconstitutional grab of power by a group of criminal